Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith, a TB, and here are the stories making headlines just beyond the continent. And we begin with news from the U.S. as President Donald Trump delivered a combative address to Congress, marking his first since regaining power. He framed the speech as a victory lap, touting his rapid changes to U.S. policy, but his remarks were met with partisan backlash. Trump's agenda, which includes controversial tariffs, government cuts, and aggressive foreign policy, has stirred opposition within both parties. The president faced protests from Democratic lawmakers, with some leaving the chamber in dissent. In particular, Rep. Al Green was escorted out of the chamber after shouting at the president, while Senator Elisa Slotkin criticized Trump's foreign policy and suggesting he lacked belief in America's exceptionalism. Trump continued to emphasize cultural war issues, targeting policies on affirmative action and transgender rights while promoting economic reforms. His proposed tariffs aimed at Mexico, Canada, and China are expected to shake markets and deepen divides.
Like Jeffs remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war in America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has declared that Mexico may seek alternative trade partnerships if necessary, following U.S. President Donald Trump's recent imposition of a 25% tariff on Mexican imports. Sheinbaum emphasized that while the U.S. has been a long-standing trading partner, Mexico is prepared to explore new alliances to safeguard its economic interests. The president of Mexico also announced plans to implement retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, with specific details to be disclosed on Sunday. She criticized the U.S. actions as unjustified, noting that such measures could harm both economies.
Pero no va a haber sumisión. Y sí, de seguir las circunstancias, pues sí, vamos a buscar a Canadá y a otros países.
For more on this, I'm joined by international correspondent Afia Hagen. Afia, it seems like we're back to this trade war. What's the latest on the trade war between Canada and the U.S.?
Yeah, absolutely, Judith, you're right. We are back to this trade war. So the latest we have is that Donald Trump has spoken with the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau this evening. He put a statement on his Truth Social platform in which he said, "Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped." He said that it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like, what's going on here? I then realized he's trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin. So that was the post that President Trump put out on Truth Social. Now, it's very important to say that Trump has repeatedly lumped Canada and Mexico together when it comes to this issue of fentanyl and the border. But statistics show that the US border seized nearly 22,000 pounds of fentanyl in 2024. Only 43 pounds of that were seized from the Canadian border. That's 0.2% of all that fentanyl, whilst 21,148 pounds were seized at the Mexican border. That's 96.6%. So basically what I'm saying is Trump using fentanyl as an excuse for these trade tariffs against Canada is frankly a lie. Because most of the fentanyl is actually coming through Mexico. And actually what he's doing here is trying to use economic punishment against Canada to get them to capitulate to be the 51st state.
Interesting. Meanwhile, the U.S. has paused intelligence to the Ukraine. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that's something that developed this afternoon, the US saying that they no longer share intelligence with the Ukraine about potential Russian maneuvers. And this, in the past, has enabled Ukraine to launch their own attacks against Russia, stay one step ahead when they can. We know that money and aid was being paused to Ukraine, and our intelligence is being paused as well. Now, a spokesperson for the US government has said that they hope that this can be unpaused along with the aid if President Zelensky is willing to come back to the negotiation table, which we know that he is. He put out a statement and it was sort of an excerpt of a letter that he sent to President Trump that Trump talked about yesterday in that State of the Union address at Congress, when he said he was very pleased to have received this letter. Basically, President Zelensky saying, look, we're ready to sign this minerals deal. We want a peace deal. Now, if those talks progress, then it's thought that perhaps the US will go back to sharing intelligence and will go back to sending aid to Ukraine. But in the meantime, this is quite a blow for them. It's a blow for them strategically. It's a blow for them, for their intelligence, for their advancement in the war, not just not receiving aid and munitions, but not receiving intelligence as well is a huge blow.
And does that, I mean, at this point, one has to ask about the progress on the peace deal with Ukraine and Russia. Is there any progress at all, Afia?
Well, not at the moment. You have the summit which is taking place, the European summit which is taking place tomorrow towards the end of this week, where you have European leaders that are going to be getting together. And remember, they were together, some of them were together with Justin Trudeau of Canada in London over this past weekend. This is a bigger summit that's taking place of European leaders. It looks like Europe possibly could come together. There's talk of perhaps Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron and Zelensky going to the White House together to do these peace talks. Now, that's been kind of downplayed through the day, but it is a line that keeps popping up, so it's something we should keep an eye on. So you have this European Leaders Summit, which is taking place, and Ukraine will definitely be front and centre of those conversations. And it's hoped that at that summit, perhaps a plan can be come up with that European leaders, along with Zelensky, can take to the US and to Russia to negotiate this peace deal. But it seems at the moment we're at a bit of a stalemate. But also, like I said, Zelensky has said and has written that letter to Trump and said that he's ready to sign the minerals deal and ready to do a peace deal. So perhaps relations are better and defrosting from where they were, last Friday from that meeting in the Oval Office. And this week, diplomacy seems to be gathering pace again.
Oh, well, we wait to see how things pan out. Afia, many thanks for doing this with us. Afia Hagen, our international correspondent, giving us a bit of insight on the trade war and Ukraine, Russia and US. Once again, thank you. And we switch gears now to South America, where Chile's interior minister, and that is Carolina Toja, has resigned to run for president in November's elections. Toja, a member of the left-wing Party for Democracy, handed over a portfolio to Alvaro Alexander, who is also to Alvaro Alexander, now the president, Gabriel Boric, who is barred from seeking re-election, praised Toja as a champion of his agenda and urged the left to unite behind a single candidate. Toja faces an uphill battle, with polls showing her in 6th place with only 3% of voting intentions. The front runner, who is Evelyn Matthew, has 26% support, while former President Michelle Bachelet has just 18%.
Los agradecimientos, Carolina, al servicio que le has prestado al país. Mucha suerte y fuerza en los desafíos que vas a enfrentar. Uno de ellos, y que no enfrentarás sola, es darle continuidad a esta alianza y ampliarla. Y para ello es fundamental que nuestro sector tenga primarias que sean competitivas, que sean convocantes.
Pero el compromiso que me ha tenido trabajando en este periodo es el mismo que me hace hoy día decidir asumir un desafío mayor. Me voy porque creo que me toca hacerlo, es lo que me corresponde a mí, me corresponde a mi generación también, y siento el deseo y siento la energía de entregar todo lo que tengo a nuestro país en esta etapa, con una responsabilidad aún mayor de la que he tenido en este tiempo. He estado en muchas luchas políticas en mi vida, cuando he considerado que son importantes para el país, nunca me he restado. Y ha llegado el momento de emprender otra lucha política, que es postular a la presidencia.
You're watching news just beyond the continent. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, the British ex-soldier is jailed for 19 years for fighting in Ukraine. We have the details after this break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. Let's now head to Europe, where Russia has announced the completion of its passport distribution process in parts of Ukraine under its occupation, a move criticized by Kyiv as an unlawful effort to erase Ukrainian identity. Since the 2022 invasion, Russia has urged Ukrainians in the eastern and southern regions to adopt Russian citizenship. Those who refuse face severe limitations, including restricted movement and difficulties accessing services like healthcare and education provided by Russian-backed authorities. Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that the process in the annexed regions of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporizhia was nearly finished. The Russian government claims to have issued 3.5 million passports to residents. Kyiv and Western nations have condemned the move, labeling it a violation of Ukrainian sovereignty.
Хочу поблагодарить руководство и личный состав МВД России за ответственный подход к выполнению служебных обязанностей. Особо отмечу тех, кто несет службу на Донбассе, в Новороссии, в Курской области. В сложных условиях вы работали достойно и профессионально. Делали все, чтобы помочь людям защитить правопорядок, обеспечить ритмичную, каждодневную работу территориальных подразделений. Так, в прошлом году практически в полном объеме завершена паспортизация жителей освобожденных районов Донецкой и Луганской народных республик, Херсонской и Запорожской областей.
The French government has announced several key appointments. Sarah El-Harry, the former Minister for Children, has been appointed High Commissioner for Children. Clement Bon, a former minister under President Macron, will serve as High Commissioner for Planning. Meanwhile, Barbara Pompili has been named Ambassador for the Environment. These appointments were announced by government spokesperson Sophia Primas following a cabinet meeting. Al-Harry's experience in youth and family affairs makes her a strong fit for her new role.
Est-ce que vous pouvez nous confirmer la nomination ce jour en Conseil des ministres de Sarah El-Haïry comme haut commissaire à l'enfance?
Je vous le confirme, absolument.
Je vous remercie.
Absolument. Monsieur Clément Beaune a été nommé haut commissaire au plan et à la stratégie, puisque vous savez qu'il y a une réunion à la fois du haut commissariat au plan et de France Stratégie. Donc, il y en a une troisième à l'environnement. Non, mais je cherche le terme exact, qui est ambassadrice à l'environnement, pardonnez-moi, ambassadrice à l'environnement, qui est Madame Pompili.
En ce qui concerne
à l'Ukraine, la question de toucher les avoirs russes aujourd'hui pose quelques questions d'ordre de droit international, puisque nous n'avons pas le droit, c'est géré par la Banque centrale russe, et donc nous n'avons pas le droit de toucher officiellement selon le droit international à ces avoirs russes. Néanmoins, une étude est en train d'être réalisée pour savoir dans quelle mesure et sous quelles conditions ces avoirs russes pourraient en partie financer l'aide à l'Ukraine. Mais pour l'instant, la position de la France est de respecter évidemment le droit international.
British-American influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate are once again in the spotlight, this time in Florida, where authorities have launched a criminal investigation against them. The move comes after the brothers flew to the U.S. last week from Romania, where they already face serious charges, including rape and human trafficking. For News Central, international correspondent Afia Hagen has more.
Andrew and Tristan Tate arrived in Florida last week, but their legal troubles have followed them across the Atlantic. Florida Attorney General James Uthmayer announced today that his office has officially launched a criminal investigation into the brothers, describing the inquiry as now active and confirming that search warrants and subpoenas have been executed. The move signals a significant escalation, adding to the long list of legal challenges the Tate brothers are facing, not just in the US, but also in Romania and the UK. In the United States, the brothers are also facing a civil lawsuit from a woman who alleges that Andrew Tate coerced her into sex work before later defaming her when she provided evidence to the Romanian authorities. The Tates, however, strongly deny these allegations and claim they are the targets of an orchestrated attack.
We live in a democratic society where it's innocent until proven guilty, and I think my brother and I are largely misunderstood. There's a lot of opinions about us, a lot of things that go around about us on the internet. We've yet to be convicted of any crime in our lives ever. We have no criminal record anywhere on the planet ever. Our case was dismissed on the 19th of December in Romania under the Biden administration.
A former kickboxer turned social media personality, Andrew Tate has built a massive following online, branding himself as a champion of masculine values. But his controversial rhetoric, often labelled misogynistic, has drawn widespread criticism, and his legal troubles have only fueled the debate around his influence. Andrew and his brother Tristan first faced serious legal consequences in December 2022, when Romanian authorities arrested them on charges of rape and human trafficking. Both men were placed under house arrest for months, and last year additional charges were filed, including allegations of trafficking minors. They have denied all charges. Meanwhile, the legal pressure on the Tates continues to mount internationally. In Romania, they remain under investigation and are reportedly required to return to Bucharest by the end of March as part of the terms set by prosecutors. But whether they will comply remains uncertain. And it's not just Romania. In the UK, authorities in Bedfordshire are still seeking Andrew Tate's extradition on separate and unrelated allegations, including rape, human trafficking and even tax evasion. While Tate has dismissed these claims as part of a broader conspiracy, British police continue to push for his return. With multiple investigations across 3 countries, the question remains, how will this transatlantic legal battle unfold, and could it finally lead to real consequences for the Tate brothers? For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
And off to the Middle East, where Egypt has unveiled a detailed 112-page plan for reconstructing Gaza, emphasizing the need for unified authority over Gaza and the West Bank. The plan, backed by the Arab League, aims to prevent the displacement of Palestinians and support a 2-state solution. Palestinian leaders, including President Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas, have welcomed the plan. The plan rejects U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal to displace Palestinians, which has been widely condemned as ethnic cleansing. Arab leaders, including Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Jordanian King Abdullah II, have expressed strong support for the plan. The Arab League has also called for international peacekeeping forces in Gaza and the West Bank. Gazan civil defense teams have begun exhuming bodies from temporary graves near Kamal Abdua Hospital in Bet Lahi. The operation, aims to recover and identify Palestinians killed during the Israel-Hamas war. Civil defense officer Anas Muatas Ayub reported that 48 bodies were recovered on the first day and 10 more on the second day, with crews still working. The exhumation process is part of a wider effort to address the aftermath of the conflict. The discovery of mass graves in Gaza has raised concerns and sparked investigations.
نقوم نحن كطواقم وكوادر جهاز دفاع مدني في محافظة الشمال بإطلاق حملة وهي حملة إكرام الشهداء، من خلالها يتم نبش المقابر الجماعية والقبور الجماعية العشوائية التي أنشأها المواطنين في الحرب البرية الأخيرة على شمال قطاع غزة. من خلالها يتم النبش على القبور، منها المجهول ومنها المعلوم. بالأمس قمنا باليوم الأول تم انتشال ما يقارب 48 جثة من مقبرة محيط مستشفى كمال عدوان. اليوم الثاني حتى اللحظة تم انتشال 10 جثث، وما زالت كوادرنا وطاقمنا في الخلف تعمل على انتشال باقي الجثث.
عشان جوزي مفقود له 5 شهور، وانا يعني ساكنه ورا كمال عدوان. كنا باجي هون بيقولوا لا، بس امبارح سمعت على اخبار انه من بيت العجته قاعدين. قلت بدي اجي اسال اشوف جوزي يعني يكون موجود عندهم. الصليب بيقولوا مش موجود عندنا.
We can take from beyond the continent. It's back home here. Remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV on all platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. We are now on GoTV channel 23. Find us on Star Times channel 274, as well as Avo TV, or better yet, stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Good night.